I was telling Todd today, I was at Purdue. I think it was like 1980. He can help me here. Anthony Thompson was the Coach Mallory, well, then they were on a roll, and we were like a 500 team. And they were playing for a huge bowl. And we weren't going to go to a bowl. And we were playing at IU, and they had Pete Stoyanovich, and he was the kicker. And I had a linebacker named Jimmy Swantz that ended up being an all-pro player for the Cowboys on special teams. And it was like third down, and if they got like 8 yards and he got out of bounds, Stoyanovich could kick the field goal. And I think the score was 15-14. I think we were ahead by 1. So I'm sitting there, and it's on our sideline, and they throw a flood pass to Anthony Thompson. And Jim Swantz read it, grabs him, and Anthony Thompson is dragging him to get out of bounds. If he gets out of bounds, Stojanovich's going to kick the field goal. We're going to lose. And Jim Swantz, you know how like those cowboys do when they're wrestling steers? He took him and he grabbed him and he locked legs with him. I mean, when he locked legs with him, just bam, about this far from the sideline. The official gave the clock deal. And this is the funny part. Our D-line coach, who's now with the Denver Broncos, a guy named Bill Kolar, who's been in the league forever, great D-line coach, and I both jump up. I come back down, and the kids are rushing the field, and I tear my calf muscle. And I hit the ground, and I'm talking about in agony. And everybody goes, and they're on the field, and back in the old IU stadium, they all out there. I can't walk. I'm talking about blood. It was filling with blood. It was a tear. And I'm laying over there, and I get to the bench, and one of their maintenance people, everybody's gone. Celebrate, and I'm laying there. I have nobody, no attention whatsoever. Everybody's in the locker room, and this guy goes, I said, I don't know how the hell I'm going to get over there. I can't walk. I could not walk. My calf was this big. And finally, our trainer, a guy named Denny Miller, you remember Denny? Denny comes out, sends somebody back over there. And all I remember, my son was young, and my late wife, I'd rode back with her, and she said, you can never make it easy, can you? But that's one of my rivalry that I remember that everybody celebrated, and I did it once. But been involved with some great games. Obviously the A&M Texas game during my career was always something. And you can believe it or not, one of the best rivalries was the old Metroplex rivalry was SMU TCU. One year that they were undefeated and had just beaten Oklahoma, and we beat them pretty good. So it's a fun time of the year for both programs.
What are the challenges?
They're so good at what they've done. Rich has run it, and they're so good at executing. I'm not going to say they're simple, but they have a very good understanding. Their coaches know how to attack you. And you've got to do some things that obviously with Khalil to try to contain, but also all of them they've got talent abound. So you got to do. They're very good offense.
When's the first time you heard the name Khalil Tate?
After the Colorado game, it was just I still remember. I think somebody told me he averaged 40-something yards a carry. I thought, what the hell? But he's talented.
What makes him unique?
Huh? Number one, he's very athletic, but also schematically. Don't kid yourself. What they do stresses you. It stresses you. It's when I grew up, the guy that invented the wishbone was my college coach, a guy named Emory Ballard. And it puts certain positions in conflict between run and pass. And this is a version of it. There's no doubt. It's triple option. There's uniqueness. There's uniqueness, but it's also hard because they're talented. They're talented. But we're excited. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, we had a good practice. I was excited today. The kids were, and the thing I told them is when you play in a rivalry game, and I said it all year. I've told you this: knowledge is power. Learn what you're trying to do, then you can execute it and play fast.
Did you watch last year's game?
No, not watching it. No, I'm not watching it. Last year, I've told you from the get-go, last year's last year. It's just, I laugh how things have changed. I had a buddy of mine that coaches at a prominent school came to visit me this spring when we had nobody in the secondary. Nobody. And one day we go out to practice, and I'm telling him I'm going to get some kids. We're going to do this, do that. And he's looking at me and goes, it's going to be a long year for you. And he texted me after we got bowl eligible. He said, you got my vote. I said, wait a minute. I told you those kids came through. So it never,
Speaking of those kids, I mean, you said that you came over here, everybody said Chad Adams can't play, Chad Adams can't play. And obviously
Let me tell you something. Chad Adams has had an outstanding year. You look, and we've overcome injury. I mean, we missed Joey. I mean, my plan all along was to play three corners and three safeties. We weren't able to do that. I was very tickled last week. I thought that Damani showed up. He showed up. He played with confidence. And let me say, somebody asked me, well, how were you going to get motivated for Oregon State? Simple. I think I told you. Watch the Stanford and the Colorado game. Watch them and watch the USC game. Coach, they're up and down the field on USC. With the same thing. But I was proud of them, and I think that it put us in a much better frame of mind when you mentioned last year, just to come out and compete against a very good Arizona team.
So he contrasts, I think, Deshaun Small with another senior, but he had a body of work coming into the season. How would you?
He's been an all-conference player. I mean, ask the people that played against him. He made a play Saturday that they had three guys trying to block him. And their running back, Big 34, was a good back. He had been physical. And Tayshaun beat three blocks and made the tackle in the backfield. And he's been a joy of a young man. He's been positive. You never know how this thing's going to turn out. But these kids have been a joy to coach. And we're not perfect. As I told you, it's a journey. It's a continuing. But they have bought in. They have given. We weren't always great. But I will tell you this. They were fighters, no complainers. And you've watched me. I'm not easy to please. And they have just been a lot of fun.
What kind of example has Tayshaun set as a senior and a guy with all that experience?
Let's say that again.
What kind of example has Tayshaun?
Every day. Showed up every day. Every day. He's had a little bit of a knee issue. He came to me. I said, "You want to rest? You want to try to take Tuesday off? You want to?" Nope. He's just he's not a big talker. Tayshaun does not want to be. He doesn't want to be out and be a spokesman. He is just absolutely. I tell you something. After, I think it was a UCLA game. I asked him. Y'all were there. I asked him. I said, "Would you?" Wasn't it UCLA? I said, "Would you go out and be our spokesman?" And he didn't bat an eye. He said, "Yes, sir, I will." And I felt very comfortable with that.
You mentioned how UVA's offense can stress different positions of your defense. Is it fair to say spots like Devilback or Spur are two of the most important positions?
Yeah, and listen, and the whole secondary. Listen, if you're kidding yourself if you think that Khalil cannot throw. I mean, you're kidding yourself. I mean, he can throw, and so they're truly a multiple assignment oriented. You really have to be sharp. When I say this, I mean it. Knowledge is power. Playing them. Todd's been great. It's. I think I've told you this. Todd Todd told me, he goes, I'm going to be the best consultant you've ever had. And he has been unbelievable. Doesn't get in my way. If I tell him I don't like something, and he goes, okay, but he helps me. I mean, he gives me facts. He goes in his room and he comes in and he gives me a deal. And he goes, what about this? And some of it I know, some of it I don't know. I mean, he is detailed, and he has been a tremendous partner with what we've done. And then he lets me coach. He lets our coaches coach, which I have great appreciation for. I know it's not easy. He's always been hands-on. And that's not to say he doesn't come in. And I told him, I said, if you see something, listen, I've been assistant. I know how. If you see something that makes us better, fix it. And I think that people fail sometimes to realize, the kind of kids, the grades that our kids make here. This program is as disciplined as I've been in. And I keep saying that about the players. They're kids. They're not kids. They're young men. They are class people. And it's because we have certain rules. We set a tone of expectations here that it's not a right. It's a privilege. And we're going to treat it as such. And that comes from Todd. And I think that you can see that. We don't have kids out getting in trouble. Not that they couldn't, but I think that's, character, smart, discipline, tough is what we're built by. And that comes from Todd. It's been fun working with him.
Talk about defensive MVP, I'm sure AJ Lott would be in the conversation.
Excuse me?
You can talk about defensive MVP, AJ Lott would probably be in the conversation. What do you see from AJ this year?
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't even go there. I don't know. I don't want to speculate.
Oh, no, I'm talking about this was played this season, about AJ. I'm sorry.
Shit, I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's been a surprise to begin with.
Yeah.
A very vital cog in that one game that he didn't play.
Yeah. I think we missed him. He's been a great story. He's a guy that, and I'm going to tell you something, he'll be a big part of our game Saturday. This is his type game.
Yeah. Legacy, rivalry games, right?
Yeah.
Is that an outsized portion of an evaluation of a program as successful or not? Do you think that rivalry games should mean more?
Well, there's a reason they call them rivalry games. When you're in the state, like the kids have told them, you can. I can remember this. I played one time at Texas, and if they win, they're going to go to the Sugar Bowl, play for the national championships. And we drove over on Thanksgiving morning and ruined their year. We beat them 13-6 and had no business beating them. I think it was maybe 1980, 1979. I'm giving away my age, but we beat them 13-6, and if we would have played 10 times, they would have beaten us 9. So yeah, I think. But also is this about a rivalry game. I like it because it's around most of them are around the holidays. And there's a festive attitude. Like today, our kids were, it was, I don't want to say loose, but it was everybody played music the whole practice. It was really a good practice. It was a good environment.
My apologies if you mentioned it already, but Mario said at the beginning of fall camp, he pulled him aside and said that backs like him are going to make your defense better. Can you comment on his character and just his leadership throughout the team?
Let me tell you something. He's been the best example what we needed. Unselfish. When you play a position that he and Kalen have to share, he has epitomized what a team player is. Because, hey, when his number's called, he is balled out. When his number's not called, he's been on that sideline. He's pumping my guys. He's pumping his guys. I just think the maturity that he's shown, and he even told me, he said it hadn't always been this way. Let's don't kid ourselves. I've got 2 kids, and they're not kids anymore, but they're still me. Well, you got Maddie this, you got Sam that. He's been very mature, and I think it showed by his production. Last week on the sideline, he wanted the ball. Every time he touched it, I don't know if you remember, But early in the game, he ran a zone cutback, and he came all. It was a stretch, and he came all the way backside. And I'm telling you, that corner after he hit him, he no-mossed it the rest of the game. I mean, he wanted no more part of number 4. But I just think he's matured, and he's been a pleasure.
Coach Bennett, you've been full of quotable moments throughout the season when you come to the podium. One time you are quoted saying that DJ Calhoun was a godsend. Can you talk about his season when he went to the
You know, just he. You know, when you've seen those dog races, right? And the lead dogs, what do they call them? I don't know but he's been my lead dog. Because when you're the middle linebacker, I mean, you got to get the calls, you got to set the front. I mean, we're an automatic front and coverage team. I mean, he's got to be the guy that he and I communicate, and he and I have to be on the same page. We both have to have a sense of urgency. And he has just been a godsend in the sense that he bought into it. It's important to him. And let me tell you something. When DJ tells you, right, you better get your ass right. I mean, he's got a sense of urgency to him that in football that is important. And the guys really respond to him.
Is that the Iditarod?
Iditarod. That's what it is. He's my lead Iditarod dog.
You might have mentioned before, but Demonte King, did it take him a while to kind of develop to where he's able to contribute?
Yes, it did. You know, he came in, he had a shoulder issue, and it put him behind. And he is now, I said last week, Jeb, he played lights out, played outstanding. You know, I don't know if you remember the one play he zoned up and cut the receiver off. Everybody thought it might have been interference. I mean, it was an unbelievable cutoff. You know, and that's things that come with experience. If that had been the Stanford game, it never happened. You know, it just wasn't happening. He was overwhelmed. But I thought he came in. We got word that Daz would not play. We thought he might play right up to the game, and he came in and really did a nice job.
Do you expect that Daz and George back this weekend? Do you know yet?
Yeah, I think Daz will be ready to go. You know, but we'll see how they practice.